Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our weekly series. On a personal note, I got a haircut from my dad. The last time that happened was, when I was 5. So it hasn't done a shabby job, but the reality of today. Hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. We have Eric Arnum joining us today, and he's going to be talking about trucks and buses and off-road vehicles. From a Tavant standpoint, we continue to focus as a company to enable our customers. We have a lot of partners and customers in this space, and our conversation has mostly at this point revolved around how to enable more value through data coming in from IoT devices. What does real-time analytics really mean? So there are a lot of discussions going on in and around that space, and as it gets tougher to provide on-the-ground services, augmented reality and the ability to essentially have even just basic video-based servicing and the ability to dig deeper into analytics is becoming more and more prevalent. So a lot of interesting conversations, but let me hand it over to Eric so we can get into the trends that we see in the marketplace. Over to you, Eric.
Thank you, Roshan. Thank you very much. And thanks to all of you for attending this webinar, the latest in our series. As I think I mentioned a week or two ago, the timing of this webinar series is well, it's unfortunate in that we're all, in lockdown in our homes, but it's fortunate in that it also occurs at the time where most companies are filing their annual reports. And in those annual reports, if you know where to look, towards the end, towards the back in the notes, there's usually some information about their warranty spending. And usually what they do is they report the amount of claims that they paid, the amount of accruals, warranty accruals that they made, and the balance in their warranty reserve fund. So what I do every year for the past, I think it's 17 years now, is I collect this data from the manufacturers and I try to organize it into industries. And what we're doing this week is we're looking at large vehicles, things like trucks, buses, recreational vehicles, farm equipment, tractors, what have you, construction equipment, road paving equipment, very large vehicles. So, bigger than, let's say, a pickup truck. So, and also, while I'm also collecting statistics on Asian companies and European companies, what I'm going to focus on this week is just the U.S. part of the large vehicle manufacturer industry. So I mentioned some of the parameters, some of the metrics that I collect. Let's move on to the next slide here. We're looking at claims paid. This is the amount of warranty claims paid by these manufacturers per year for the past 17 years. In 2019, the manufacturers paid out $3.163 billion, and that was up $285 million, or around 10% from 2018. As you'll notice, if you look at the scale on this chart, it was the second highest year after 2014. Now we're looking at large vehicles, the amount of warranty accruals that they're making. In 2019, these companies accrued, and I should mention, when I say accrued, what happens is, think of the warranty expense as like a checking account that you use to pay bills. The warranty accruals would be like the deposits, the paychecks, or whatever you put into that account. And the warranty claims are like the bills, the withdrawals, the amount of money going out of the account. So this is almost like the money. This is the money that the manufacturers set aside to prepare for the warranty claims in the future. In 2019, the accruals came to $3.395 billion. That was up $395 million, or around 13%. That's a pretty big jump for 1 year. And you also see that in 2019, we finally passed 2014. So we've now set a new record for the amount of warranty accruals in the large vehicle industry. And then the third metric is the balance in the warranty reserve fund. At the end of each year, at the end of 2019, the balance was $5.235 billion. That was up $408 million. Once again, that's a really big jump, 8.5%. And once again, we broke the record, surpassing 2014. So what does this all mean? Well, there's one more metric I want to introduce, and that's warranty, well, not warranty, product sales, the amount of products sold. Now, what I've done is I've also collected data on sales, and I divide the claims and accruals by sales to come up with a percentage rate, which represents the amount of revenue, the percentage of revenue going towards these warranty expenses. Claims divided by sales equals the claims rate. You see that in red. And accruals divided by sales equals the accrual rate. You see that in green. Now, the first thing that jumps out at you is that big spike in 2009. That's what happened during the recession. It wasn't so much that claims rose as sales fell. When that happens, you know, that's what happens to the chart. The percentage rate jumped over 3% rather suddenly because sales fell. What you see in recent years is, you know, it goes up, it goes down. We ended 2019 with a 2.0% claims rate, which was a little bit below average. You know, I just said before we started this, it's been pretty quiet the past week. Not too many sirens. I'm in New York City in Queens. In a horrible couple of weeks. I'm sorry about that noise. I thought I could open the window, but you know, can't escape from the world outside. Where was I? 2.0% claims rate at the end of 2019, a 2.1% accrual rate, which is a little bit above average. You see that the highest accrual rate was all the way back in 2004. It was a little bit over 2.5%. So, you know, we're close to average now. As far as the individual companies themselves, what I did here is I took the 12 largest companies in the category. These are the companies making everything from truck engines to construction equipment. AGCO is into farm equipment. Winnebago is making recreational vehicles. PACCAR is the owner of several brands of trucks going on the highway. John Deere makes farm equipment, also some construction equipment. Terex makes the lift trucks and the cranes. The Rev Group is RVs. Navistar is trucks again. Thor Industries is a recreational vehicle manufacturer. Oshkosh, they make some interesting vocational vehicles. And Aztec Industries, I believe, makes road paving equipment. So the way that this chart is organized, it's from the company at the top, which saw the biggest jump in their claims rate, which is Cummins, going from 1.9% in 2018 to 2.5% in 2019. And at the bottom, it's the company that saw the biggest decline. That would be Aztec, going from 1.5% to 0.9% over the past year. And then you see in the middle column there, the amount of claims they paid. So you see everything from Aztec's $10 million to John Deere's $985 million spent on claims. So you must, be able to calculate in your head that even if it is 2 or 3% of their revenue, it's still a large amount of money. Look at another metric here. This is the warranty accrual rate. Once again, it's organized the same way, from Caterpillar at the top, jumping from 1.5% to 2.1%, and they spent over $1 billion on warranty accruals last year. And then at the bottom, Cummins. Now this is strange. Let me see if I can go back for a second. Yeah, here Cummins is at the top with claims, and here Cummins is at the bottom, falling from 3.9% to 1.9%. That's a 2% drop in just 1 year. What I wanted to mention is that there's a lag time. There's obviously a lag time between when the accruals are made and when the claims are paid. So what happened with Cummins was they made a whole lot of accruals in 2018. Now they're spending that money in 2019. I'll get to that in a second in a subsequent slide. First, what I want to show you is the stability of some of these companies, the predictability from 1 year to the next. Not much changes. These are the off-highway manufacturers, the farm equipment, the construction equipment, the companies making industrial equipment, not for highway trucks, but for off-highway usage. John Deere, Caterpillar, and AGCO. I just wanted to point out to you that these, although there's a steady rise from 2003 to 2008, and again from 2010 to 2014, it's predictable, it's steady, there's no surprises here. That's what I wanted to show you. And even if we translate these numbers on this chart into percentage of revenue, once again, it's predictable, it's steady. The numbers are not spiking. Well, Caterpillar did spike during the recession, 2009. You see Caterpillar's claims rate did jump quite high. And John Deere, I should point out, is very seasonal. You look at that green line and you see how it goes from year to year. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. What's happening is John Deere is mostly a farm equipment company. And farm equipment, it's no secret, it's no surprise to find out that farm equipment sales, farm equipment warranty claims, farm equipment warranty work is closely tied to the growing season. So, winter, summer, you would expect going like this from year to year, going up and down, and that's exactly what that green line does. It's highly seasonal, but it's predictable. The seasons are predictable, and except for a couple of data points that seem out of place, you do see it. It almost seems like it goes up, it goes down, depending on the quarter, depending on the season. So I just wanted to show you that because now I want to compare and contrast this record with some of the on-highway truck companies. First, we're looking at Navistar. This is not predictable. This is not stable. This is not a flat line. You see that there are two peaks here, 2004, again in 2012. What this represents is Navistar running into trouble, specifically with the emissions of their diesel engines, not meeting government requirements. And because of that, they had to start paying claims, paying penalties, and doing repairs to their diesel engines. And in 2012, I mean, it was very, very serious for them. They were paying more than $500 million in claims in 2012, and most of that can be tied to their diesel engine emissions warranties. Another company, PACCAR, with Kenworth and Peterbilt and some other brands, their big trouble was in 2014. Once again, claims, well, this is warranty accruals, spiked over $600 million. Amazing amount of money being spent on that. You know, going from $200 million to $600 million, that certainly has to hurt. One more, we're looking at Cummins. Cummins makes diesel engines, and they ran into their trouble in 2018. That's why, if you remember a couple of charts ago, I was showing you their accrual rate, you know, went through the roof in 2018. Now it's come back down. It's not quite back to normal, but you know, it's getting there. But the claims are coming in now, coming in 2020, 2019. They'll probably continue into 2021. That's because the company figured out that the problem was there. They set the money aside in warranty accruals, and now they're spending it years later on warranty claims. I wanted to show you one more slide. This is, well, first of all, it's not an American company. It's based in Europe. Second of all, it's mostly passenger cars. They do make trucks. They own some brands of trucks as well as, you know, vocational vehicles, but most of their output is passenger cars. But if you remember back in the news in 2015, Volkswagen ran into an amazing amount of trouble because of their diesel engines. That's what I wanted to point out to you on this chart. This turns it into a number for you. In it's a German company, so of course their annual report is in euro. I translated that into US dollars just so that you could compare it in your mind. In 2015, the company set aside $21.5 billion, mostly to pay warranty claims, penalties, fines, replacements, what have you, for their diesel engine passenger cars. So what I'm showing you here is a story I don't think has been written, but now you see the numbers in front of you. Navistar ran into trouble with diesel engines. It cost them a fortune. PACCAR ran into trouble with diesel engines. It cost them a fortune. Cummins ran into trouble with diesel engines. It cost them a fortune. And wow, in 2015, Volkswagen, these diesel engines cost Volkswagen $21.5 billion. You know, that's more money than GM, Ford, and Toyota combined spent on warranty that year. So not only is VW the largest warranty provider in the world, but they're larger than most of their competitors as well. One more thing I wanted to show you. Besides these companies reporting on their product warranty claims, accruals, and reserves, they also report, oh, sorry, there's one more slide before we get to that. This slide, what I want you to take away from this is the unpredictability of their warranty accrual rates. For Navistar, you see the big spike in 2004. You see another spike in 2012. Cummins, you see the spike in 2018. PACCAR, you see both spikes and troughs. This is a mess compared to what I was showing you here. You know, this, I said, you know, Caterpillar had the recession and Deere has the seasonality. That's nothing like this. And I can't even put VW on this chart because VW has consistently been above 5%. Now we can go to the last chart. Besides product warranty, these companies also reveal some statistics on their service contract sales, extended warranty, whatever you want to call it, service program, service plan. There's a whole bunch of different names for it, but this is a business-to-business service contract being sold by these four companies to their customers, which are commercial businesses driving trucks. What I want to point out to you is how sales have really taken off. Again, this is a sort of an unwritten story. It's not really well known. But in 2019, PACCAR sold almost $500 million worth of service contracts. These are new service contracts being sold by the company. Cummins sold $350 million worth of service contracts. Deere was just under $300 million. The total for the four of them was $1.28 billion being sold, service contracts being sold last year. That was up $185 million or 17%. And then Navistar, they're the smallest one on here, but what I wanted to point out to you is that they were up 56% last year, up to $137 million. So perhaps customers have realized the unpredictability of their warranty expenses. And this is the reaction. Let's buy a service contract. You know, let's give some predictability to our warranty expenses. Roshan, do we have any questions on the line?
Yeah, Eric. So I think one of the questions that's coming is with electric trucks now slowly getting more and more prevalent, and there are at least quite a few now on the road. Are you seeing anything out there where this trend is going to change? Is it going to get worse or better?
I can compare it to two companies, Tesla in the United States and BYD in China. BYD is now getting into electric buses here in the U.S., and Tesla, of course, has an on-highway truck on the way. Both of those companies tend to have very high accrual rates, very unpredictable accrual rates, perhaps because they're nervous about future expenses. But they also tend to have lower than average claims rates. So I think it's too early to say for sure, but it is likely that both on-highway trucks as well as passenger vehicles, that the electric versions of these vehicles are going to have more predictable and lower warranty expense rates than their gasoline or diesel-powered equivalents. But that could change, and as the vehicles get older, there's battery failures to worry about, and the batteries are very, very costly. So I don't know. Let's say tentatively that the expenses will probably turn out to be both lower and more predictable. But let's check back in a couple of years once we really do have some actual market performance, actual data to look at.
So makes sense, Eric. In fact, it would be interesting to see how software failures also come into play and how you warranty software in heavy equipment. It's going to be a completely different way of looking at warranty, I'm sure. So
Yeah, well, what I'm talking about with these diesel problems is really it's a failure of advanced technology that was trying to bring down diesel emissions. The diesel engine itself is very predictable. It's the emission treatments, the effort to bring down particulates and nitrous oxide emissions and pollution. That's the problem. That's the very costly part of the problem. The engine itself is very predictable and very stable. It's the technology being added to it, which in some cases includes software.
okay, Eric, thank you again. And hopefully everything goes well. I know you're rushing off after the webinar to volunteer. So, hats off to all the work you're doing there in your community too. And thank you for making the time. Thank you everyone for continuing to join us. Please feel free to send across any questions that you may have. You can, reach out to us. Our contact information is listed there, and we'll be posting the webinar across different social media, forums. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good weekend and stay safe and healthy.
See you next week.